The Persian Empire stretched from India to Ethiopia, a vast and mighty kingdom ruled by King Xerxes, a man of ambition and unpredictable temper. His palace in Shushan was adorned with golden pillars, marble floors, and silk tapestries woven with the finest dyes of the East. One evening, during a grand feast in the palace gardens, where fountains of wine flowed and musicians played melodies that echoed through the halls, Queen Vashti refused the king's command to appear before his guests. Her defiance sent a shockwave through the court. "How dare she dishonor me?" Xerxes roared, his face red with rage. His advisors, eager to please him, suggested that Vashti be stripped of her title. She was banished from the kingdom, and so began the search for a new queen. In the lower district of Shushan lived a young Jewish girl named Hadassah. Though she went by the Persian name Esther to protect her identity, she had been orphaned as a child and raised by her wise cousin Mordecai, a man of deep faith and unwavering loyalty to his people. When the king's decree was announced, ordering all young women of beauty to be brought to the palace, Esther was taken against her will. "Remember who you are," Mordecai whispered as soldiers led her away. In the king's harem, Esther was thrust into a world of perfumes, silk robes, and endless lessons in court etiquette. She won favor with Haggai, the chief eunuch, who saw something different in her, not just beauty but wisdom. When the time came for Esther to meet the king, she chose no lavish jewels, no extravagant perfumes, only what Haggai recommended. That night, as she entered the throne, Xerxes' gaze locked onto hers. There was something about her, poise, grace, and unspoken strength. "She will be my queen," he declared, placing the crown upon her head. But he never knew her secret. In the depth of the palace, Haman, the kingly, newly appointed chief advisor, reveled in his growing power. But one man refused to bow before him, Mordecai. "Who is this man?" Haman sneered. When he learned Mordecai was a Jew, his hatred boiled into a plot of genocide. He convinced the king to issue a decree ordering the extermination of all Jews in Persia. Sealed with the king's signet ring, the law was irrevocable. When Mordecai received the decree, he tore his clothes, covered himself in ashes, and stood at the palace gates in mourning. He sent words to Esther, "You must go to the king and plead for our people." Esther trembled. To approach the king uninvited meant death. "If you remain silent, deliverance will come from elsewhere, but you and your family will perish," Mordecai warned. "Perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." For 3 days, Esther fasted and prayed. Then, summoning all her courage, she stepped into the throne room. Xerxes narrowed his eyes. The guards tightened their grips on their sword. But then he extended his golden scepter. "What is your request, my queen?" he asked. Instead of revealing everything at once, Esther invited the king and Haman to a private banquet. Haman, believing himself honored, boasted all the way home. That night, unable to sleep, the king had the royal records read to him. He discovered that Mordecai had once saved his life, yet had never been rewarded. By morning, Haman's pride shattered as the king ordered him to honor Mordecai publicly. At the second banquet, Esther finally revealed the truth. "Oh king, if I have found favor in your sight, spare my life and the lives of my people. We have been marked for destruction." Xerxes froze. "Who would dare do this?" Esther turned to Haman. "This vile man is our enemy." Haman's face drained of color. The king stormed out enraged. When he returned, seeing Haman pleading at Esther's feet, he misunderstood the sin as an assault on the queen. "Take him," Xerxes ordered. Haman was hanged on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. A new decree was issued, allowing the Jews to defend themselves. They rose up victorious. Esther had saved her people.